bring Steve Young in right now. Nice enough to join us. Steve, I'll tell you, I watched all of what you did yesterday on ESPN, and correct me if I'm wrong, it almost looked like you felt sorry for Pete Carroll. You were trying to find something to give him a break, but it was hard to find him anything to give him a break.
I was dying for him. I don't remember, Michael, a situation, even, Colin Kaepernick's fades in the end zone, last second. There's been a few of these Super Bowls, Roethlisberger in the corner with the big hard nose. It's heartbreaking. But this was not just heartbreaking. This was, damaging. This is where you don't recover. And it's kind of a knee buckler, and you feel like, I cannot believe that we just did that, kind of to ourselves. And so it was painful. I don't know why it was. I like both teams. I like both quarterbacks. It wasn't like I was cheering one way or another. It was just tough. I was standing right there. I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. And I don't know that I've ever been as shocked as I was at that moment.
And also what was kind of shocking to me, Steve, is that Bill Belichick's not calling any timeouts, which leads me to believe...
Don, he had already decided, right? So that's why the last 30 seconds or 45 seconds of a game in those situations are so critical that you're not just standing there. I mean, to me, you got to get down. You almost literally, physically get down, get kind of thinking, because you got to react. The second to about 30 seconds, you knew he was not going to call timeout. He was going to let it go, and he was not going to let you score, which was in my mind about 50 seconds. It's like, let him score, and you're only down by 3. You got some time to go tie it up. And so that was in my mind, and so he obviously didn't want to do that. And so once that happens, and you now know that they're not calling timeout, they're not letting you score, they're going to play a goal line defense, and the game's over one way or another. Now you get that calculus in my mind puts now you in the real driver's seat for what you want to try to accomplish with a timeout. And so that was what was odd about his explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Because his explanation came, and we talked about it post-game, and his explanation came, and it just confused me more. I was like, geez, that didn't help me at all, because he said they didn't like the matchup. But then I talked to Darrelle Revis on the air. You guys saw that too. They were in the 3-cornered goal line, which is not the jumbo package, which is you can run against that. But they thought they had an advantage to throw. And so, I don't know.
See, I'm trying to find out what the benefit is for New England not to call timeout other than letting them score. What was the benefit of not calling the timeout?
Maybe they like the matchup defensively.
But what I'm saying is, wouldn't you call timeout the second that you tackle at the half-yard line, when you tackle Lynch?
Don, you bring up an interesting point, because the second I thought about it, and I've kind of rethought it again, and maybe I've talked myself out of it, I kind of felt like there was a little bit of a capitulation. Kind of like, can't believe it's going to happen again. I mean, that was my sense of it. Now, I think that's probably not the way he was thinking about it at the time, but it does feel that way a little bit.
Do you think, though, if he saves the 2, right, and they score on the next play, and Don and I have played with the thought that maybe they let him score on the next play, and then you've got 2 timeouts left, and Brady then gets 2 throws in the middle of the field. Otherwise, he would just have 1. He's probably got to gain 50 yards to get in the field goal position. You think that was the thinking? Because if not, then Belichick comes off kind of as a goal.
Not at 20. Not at 20, Michael. Not at 20. At 40, because then you got to kick it off and hopefully go in the end zone. I'm just saying.
But if you stop it at 40, then you only have 1 timeout left.
I understand that, but are you going to play to go try to score some more points, or are you going to make a goal line stand one way or another, win or lose?
But then even if you were going to make that goal line stand, Steve, why keep the timeouts in your pocket?
That's why my initial feeling at the moment was they kind of capitulated. It was like, well, see you.
Wow.
It's kind of like, can't believe it's going to happen to me again. Because that's you've thought it through, and you can't think about it another way if you're going to hold the timeouts in your pocket and not just make a goal line stand.
Does Pete Carroll ever get out from under this, or is this part of his?
Yeah, because they won the Super Bowl last year. It's not like they're not banging on the door of the Super Bowl. There's a ton of people who never get there. Good coaches, good players, never get close. So, you keep banging down the Super Bowl. This is a tough one, though. This is a knee buckler, no question. And the hard part is play calling is an art. It's not science. The great play callers, they count on. They're great because they have quarterbacks that protect them. Because inevitably they do. You know, you're not great play callers are not perfect. And so this was a situation where the play caller screwed up, bad choice. And when that happens, you got to pray that your quarterback protects you. And then you also, if a bad call, at least execute it. So it was like a triple whammy, right? Bad call, not executed well because the receivers lined up. It was obvious what they were doing. I think by their alignment, it was not offset. They needed offset. And then you got to give a shoulder outside to hold the defender. You can't rush that. You're the one. I get that, but it's almost more important to give a little bit of a delay because there's such shallow spaces. The defender's not 7 yards; he's 4, and so they executed it poorly.